Mining Weekly Online is talking to Terence Goodlace, the CEO of Impala Platinum. Terence, Impala Platinum is just returning from a 5-month harrowing strike. Can you give us the progress on the ramp up?
During the strike, we planned the startup. We didn't know when it would happen, and we went through an extensive risk management process and assessed what we need to do from a people perspective and the physical environment perspective. And all of those plans helped us in the build-up. As far as the medicals are concerned, we've done over 20,000 medicals. We've done nearly 20,000 heat tolerance screening tests. We've put everybody through through induction, and ultimately some of the safety protocols. We've upped the first aid training, and we've done all of the supplying into the working areas, as well as recording back all of the suppliers. And at the same time, we've now entered the workings. We're currently at a rate of around 65% of what we expect. And I've been very pleased with the progress that the team has made at Rustenburg.
And in terms of ounces, what are you expecting?
Our expectation for the first half of this year is that Rustenburg will produce around about 250,000 ounces of platinum. The opportunity cost we have is about 140,000 ounces of platinum in this quarter that we're actually in now. And that's on the basis of the ramp up. If you took a normalized quarterly rate, the opportunity cost is 140,000 ounces. The 850,000 ounce target, which we spoke about a year ago, has been deferred. We need to do complete replanning of all of our capital projects to take cognizance of what has happened with the strike, what has happened with the contractors, what has happened with some of the more specific conditions and underground conditions we have, especially at 16 shaft. At 17 shaft, we've actually slowed the ore reserve development down completely now on the basis of affordability, and we need to look at how do we build that back up once we get into full production at that shaft. To give you an idea, when we did our planning a year ago in this current year that we're moving into, we would have spent something like 1.4 billion rand on 17 shaft on that project. We can only afford 400 million at this point. So we've had to only focus on the main shaft and on the critical path activities.
You've still got 3 projects in the go in South Africa and also in Zimbabwe.
The fundamentals around the PGM market are good, and based upon that, how do we leverage into the future? We can't just look at today. We're in a long-term game, and we need to optimize the extraction of our mineral resources.
And in that long-term game, what do you think technology might look like? How will you be mining, do you think, in the future?
There's ample opportunity to modernize the workplace. We are planning Implats on a fully mechanized board and pillar mining method. We're going to see how that pans out, and we'll deliver that to the board and ultimately to the market by next February. But there's sufficient technological advance now with low profile equipment, mechanized equipment, in conjunction with board and pillar mining. I think the holy grail around narrow reef at a dip is still a challenge. But there's more than ample opportunity to mechanize and modernize how we develop our ore bodies, and all of our new shafts are based upon, have that in mind. So any new shaft, we will mechanize our development.
Will it still be a drill and blast process within a board and pillar environment?
10 years from now, I'd love to be in a position where we're moving to non-explosive extraction methods, similar to what Anglo Gold are doing at the moment, which is around boring. But in the meantime, we are still going to be using explosives. You can use low profile equipment as long as the dip is right and the width is right, and that you can use technology that people don't even have to be in the workplace, so that you can really operate in a safe way with skilled operators.
It'll only be at the new projects that you implement these technology advances in the main.
Let's not ignore what we can do in the current workings. There's a lot of technology that's changing around, as simply put as signaling devices for winches, as an example. We're looking at the possibility of putting in remote controlled winches And all of that technology can improve the conditions in the way we operate.
You've sort of reached a plateau in safety, and how do you make the quantum leap to make people safe there, which is an absolute national imperative?
We've initiated a lot of technological change, and that goes into whether it's proximity detection systems or self-contained self-rescuers or nets and bolts in all of our working areas. We introduced a program last year to all of our management teams, and it was something that I was exposed to in Australia. It's called the zero incident process, and I'm very excited. We took all of our board through, we took all of our management through it, and that's starting to look at how the brain works and how the brain perceives safety and ultimately culture. And we're looking at cascading that down through the organization. So it's a very different angle that we'd like to take into the organization. It's all about combinations. You have to have the right setup, you have to have the workplace right, you have to have motivated people, you have to have people that are capable and want to work safely.
On the outlook for the products that you produce, we find that platinum price has fallen a bit, but palladium and rhodium and other prices up.
Fundamental demand, especially palladium, is very strong. If you think of the sheer quantum of motor vehicles, and especially gasoline motor vehicles that are required throughout the world, the supply of palladium is a big issue. So that is positive from a supply perspective. The other from platinum, it's all about what's going to happen with diesel cars. And ultimately diesel cars, they are pretty static in Europe because that's where most of the platinum is used. But if it does change, then that would be positive for platinum. In the long term, you would look at something like fuel cells because that would absorb platinum. So overall, the fundamental demand for the products is good. What we're sitting with now is a combination of above ground stocks and the sheer quantum of recycling that occurs in the market. I mean, the metals are unique and they can be reused. And if you look at platinum as an example, more than 1.2 million ounces per annum comes back into the market from recyclers. If you look at palladium, it's of the order of 2 million ounces that comes back into the market. And to give you an idea, I mean, last year we produced 700,000 ounces of palladium. Yes, and it was strike affected. But compare that to 2 million ounces, which is coming back from the recyclers. And so that is the big overhang that we have, those above ground stocks and a huge quantum of recycled metal that's coming back in. So we have to position ourselves on a productivity and a cost curve basis to maintain our competitiveness.
That was Mining Weekly talking to Terence Goodlace, the CEO of Impala Platinum.